team he was around, or, Coach Pop, or whatever the case was, the culture down there in San Antonio. Not really sure what it was, but it's not the same Danny Green that, I wasn't even a Spurs fan. I was a Spurs fan the year they played Miami because, listen, I wasn't the biggest Miami fan. But, I mean, like I said, I don't know what happened. And I think it's problematic when you only have, and I think this is the difference between Houston and LA, is that I think Houston has a lot more shooters. And yes, I believe that defense wins championships, but I also don't like teams where you rely consistently on the same handful of guys to make the plays and to win the games. Yeah. And I think sometimes people take advantage of the fact that LeBron James, whether or not you want to agree with it or not, but is one of the greatest, if not the greatest basketball player right now in the game overall. I think that sometimes you can ignore the gaps in the Lakers because of that. And I don't know. I feel like, here's the thing. Like I said, I don't believe in small ball, so I don't think that the Lakers are going to have that much of an issue with the Rockets. I have the Lakers winning. Obviously, my pick was Lakers and Clippers in the Western Conference Finals. I have the Clippers winning the whole thing because, like I said, I believe in defense, and I just think the Clippers are defensively a little bit more put together than the Lakers. But I don't know. I want to see more guys taking shots. That's what I would like to see. I don't want all the pressure on AD and LeBron for this whole series because like I said, I feel like that can be problematic.
Yeah. So, but from a Lakers fan perspective, we've seen duos take the majority of the shots, superstar duos. We've seen Shaq, Kobe, we saw Kareem and Magic, and how their styles dictated a win. So we kind of expect that to happen, and we just need role players to knock down open shots, play defense, and cut. And that's all we kind of need to see. And then just, who do you think wins game one?
I think I'm going to go with the Lakers. I think it was kind of the last series, I think, was a wake-up call for the Lakers. I don't see them winning. I don't see them losing, rather, a game one. Also, I feel like the Rockets haven't had enough time to make the adjustments I think they're going to need to beat the Lakers, at least in game one. Yeah. But I think this series is going to be a lot of back and forth. I would say Lakers game one. I have Houston game two. I have Houston game three, Lakers game four. I say this series goes 6. Yeah. I don't see it going a full 7 games. I think if it does, I would be surprised unless you have something crazy that happens, like in the Toronto-Boston game where someone just takes a shot with 0 seconds on the clock and it goes in. I have the series going 6. If it goes past it, I would be very surprised.
I have Lakers winning tonight. I just think they've kind of had the wake-up call, like you said, after losing game one against Portland. I kind of think they realized, hey, we need to play our best basketball if we actually want to win this thing. We can't just rely on our talent to always shine through. We actually have to play hard. And games 2 through 5 versus the Blazers, they played hard. They didn't cat the game away, like many have said. And I think the Lakers win in 5 or 6. 5 if everything goes to plan and they scheme how they should against the Rockets. 6 if Frank wants to be stubborn and play JaVale more minutes than he should.
No, I agree. I like I said, I called 6 when the matchup was announced. Mm-hmm. I don't believe the Rockets are taking this series. I just don't. I know a lot of people think that the Rockets can be the kryptonite of the Lakers. I don't see it. But I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk for the Lakers. I don't think it's going to be a sweep by any means. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, we're going to sweep them Lakers in 4. I don't think that's going to happen. And I hate comparing the regular season to playoffs because the game changes. And I hate doing this because, like I said, 2 different games, almost 2 different seasons. Once that regular season ends, I don't even care anymore. But you have to look at history. And history shows that when the Lakers, like I said, try to keep up with the Rockets, it does not work in their favor. You look at the record. I compared, this is why I said that the Miami Heat have the Bucks number before the series even started, because I looked at the games that they played down here in Miami, even in Milwaukee. It's not a good matchup. The Miami Heat just have the Bucks number. So, and the Bucks haven't made the adjustments needed. They really can't make the adjustments needed to keep up with Miami. It's just not the way the team's designed, but they haven't even attempted. So looking at the Lakers and Houston, I just hope to see that the adjustments that we need, because if we don't, I think we're going to repeat of a lot of the games we saw during the regular season. And if that is the case, Laker fans should be very worried.
If the Lakers fall in love with 80 fadeaways, and I know he was automatic the first series against the Blazers, but if you can only be that hot from that spot and fading away for so long, so it'll be interesting to see when his shot stops falling with the fading away, what they do after to counter that. And to me, that will make it either a 5 or a 6 or maybe even a 7-game series. If they can't adjust from that, what do they do? That's why I said we need 36, 37 minutes from LeBron, because there is no one bigger than you guarding you from getting to the paint. And if they want to send some help to get you to the rim, someone's going to be open for 3. This is going to be Alex Caruso's, I think, biggest series, because he can play defense well enough to stay on the court. He's going to start needing to make threes to keep himself being on the court, because you still have to respect Danny Green and KCP's spacing. Teams don't really respect Alex Caruso's spacing. If he can make them respect that, I just think it makes life easier on LeBron. And again, I think if they can do the things well enough, it should be 5 or 6. Because I'm not going to be disrespectful to Harden or Westbrook either. They're both great players. Harden's going to have a 40, 50-point game against us. We've just seen that too many times in LA. I believe Harden dropped like 4 or 5 straight 40-point games on us, on like the baby Lakers, the Lonzo and Ingram-led Lakers. And that was when Josh Hart tried to play defense with his hands behind his back. So we were trying anything and everything to stop him. And then Russell Westbrook, I believe the 2 times we lost to the Rockets this year, he had 38 and 40.
Are you at all worried about officiating in this series? Because the officiating, if you ask me, in the bubble has been atrocious. And I'm not like the biggest advocate for NBA refs. I think that they miss a lot of calls, even not in the bubble, during the regular season, in finals and playoffs when we weren't in a quarantine situation. You look at the game against Miami and Milwaukee, 2 terrible calls. One obviously cost Milwaukee the game. You look at Toronto and Boston just the other day. Are you at all worried about the officiating in this series, or you feel like LeBron's going to get the Jordan treatment?
I feel like officiating has been terrible both ways on each team that has played. So I don't feel like it affects any one team one way or the other. And I think the Lakers have enough talent to overcome a bad officiating night anyways. So unless we see Harden get like 4 calls in 1 quarter and him getting 3 free throws each time, that's when I'll worry. But if that doesn't happen, then it should be talent wins out.
And I mean, it also helps when you have like the face of the NBA on your team, because a lot of calls that should be called are not going to be called. Let's be honest. Let's call it what it is.
But with him, he doesn't get called a lot of fouls, but he also doesn't get a lot of foul calls going to the rim anymore. And I don't know if that's just because maybe he's lost a step, but he's still as big as anyone in the league, so officials can't see the contact. So I don't know why his foul calls have definitely diminished. I believe his free throw rate is the lowest it's been in his career. And I don't know why that is. But Anthony Davis also gets superstar calls as well, and he gets a lot of superstar calls. He's basically a 6'10" James Harden